The recent election was fairly putrid if you dig deep into all the various results, and high on the list of really bad outcomes was the passage of something called Proposition 22 in California. It could be a very bad beginning to a new corporate assault on workers' rights all across the nation. The initiative tore away rights from millions of so-called gig or digital platform workers, exempting companies like Uber and Lyft from a whole range of worker protections. 5 big corporations, just 5, spent $200 million to push through the initiative, which overturned a California bill that, when that bill had passed, actually extended to folks the same rights traditional employees have, say, coverage under the minimum wage guarantee, paid sick leave, and other protections. These greedy companies who were saying gig or digital platform workers were independent contractors without basic rights, they ginned up Proposition 22, which now leaves those workers out in the cold at the mercy of these marauding multi-billion-dollar companies who exploit folks for a pittance. Let's be clear. The fancy name of gig or digital platform workers muddies the waters because for a very long time, powerful corporations have done everything possible to stop workers from having full employee rights, whether it's by busting a union or simply misclassifying a worker as not an actual employee, but forcing them to be independent contractors. And all those are ways to rob workers of a decent wage and basic rights at work. Progressives in Europe took notice of what happened in California and are moving as quickly as possible to make sure that the Americanization of poverty of digital platform workers is stopped at the shores of the continent. Leila Chaibi, a French politician who was elected as a member of the European Parliament in 2019, is spearheading a drive to get the European Parliament to pass legislation to inscribe in law for every country in the European Union employment and working conditions for so-called gig and digital platform workers that are equal to that of more traditional workers. And from Paris, Leila joins me to talk about her proposal. And I'm curious, Leila, as we start our conversation, whether your initiative to change the law or make sure that the law in Europe protects digital platform workers, whether it was influenced by what was happening in California or in the United States, or what you were seeing already in Europe.
Yeah, you're right to say that we were inspired by what happened in California with AB5. Well, before the referendum of the 3rd of November, of course. But I think all over the world, because the situation that we have in France, we can see it all over Europe and all over the world. That situation where you have platform like Uber, Deliveroo, and they said, okay, we're going to make the connection between a customer and a driver and a rider. We're only going to make the connection. But when you look, they are hiring people officially as independent, but when you look, they practice all the characteristic of subordination, like a classic. You have people who they are supposed to be independent, but they don't have the power to fix the price. They don't have the power to say when they want to work. They don't have the power to know what is behind the algorithm. They don't have the power to know why they are disconnected or not. And in what was interesting is that we always say that in France or in Europe we have social protection that you don't have in the US. But so for us, it was very interesting to see that where Uber was born in California, even there they managed to do a law to enforce platform to give to their workers the same right as any workers and the same social protection as any workers. And for us, it was a kind of inspiration, of course, but also it was a way during months and months we said, look, it's possible in California, so it must be possible here in France, and it must be possible in Europe.
And digital platform workers is a fancy name for something that we've had in the US for a long time, which is independent contractors. And those independent contractors have been exploited. Frankly, writers have been independent contractors as well. They've been exploited for many, many years. So it's not necessarily a new phenomena. You just have these huge, big corporations like Uber and Lyft taking advantage of it and hiring lots more people and trying to exploit the whole in the terrible labor laws we have. And what was fascinating to me as I read your important piece and your proposal, didn't European workers who were in the same boat, if I can say, back before Lyft and Uber, didn't they have protections under certain countries' laws, if not the European law?
Can you repeat the end of your question?
Well, didn't they have protections, meaning independent contractors?
Yes.
Let's say
Yes.
before Lyft and Uber, before digital platforms
yeah.
even existed, were there not within Europe,
Yeah.
certainly European countries like Germany, France, the Scandinavian countries, did they already have protections as independent contractors,
Yeah.
meaning the right for unemployment, the right for safety and health protection, for certain wages? I thought the system in Europe was much better.
Yeah, but I think the main problem is not being independent, and the main problem is about bogus self-employed. So, because when you are a worker for a company, when you work for a company, you're not a slave. Why aren't you a slave? You're not a slave because you're going to spend 8 hours working for your boss, but as you're going to give 8 hours per day to your boss, but in exchange, at the same time, you will have social protection. You will have labor law that is going to say that your boss must give you a break, for example, must give you a day off, for example, and this is the status of workers. And when you are independent, okay, you don't have all that right, but you're supposed to have freedom, autonomy. And what was invented by the platform is that they take the bad side of workers and the bad side of independent in order to create a new status. And the problem is of being a bogus self-employed, because okay, even if of course I think the independent self-employed, they would need to have more protection, but we would say, okay, they don't have the same protection as a worker, but they have some things that a worker doesn't have. For example, they can say, okay, if I want to work, I don't want to work during the morning, I'm not going to work during the morning. If I want to sell, a pen, I'm going to say that this pen is €1, and at the same time, the worker who work for a company, the company who sell pens, they are going to say, no, it's not €1. I said it's 80 cents. But in the platform model, we have, it's a way for me that capitalism invented in order to not to apply his responsibility of employer.
So your proposal now, to just move a little bit to the proposal, and then I'm going to ask you how it gets enforced, is essentially to create under your general principles, and we don't want to get too much down in the weeds, as I like to say, but make it general. But you basically want to make sure that workers have the same rights as if they work on digital platforms as any other worker, meaning the right to have collective agreements, to have decent wages, to have the protections, the unemployment insurance, and so on, right?
Yeah. Because even now, when we were talking about the example of California with IAB5, but even when the workers, they go to the court, to the justice court, and every time, like 90% of the time, the tribunal, the judge will say, we are going to requalify your contract in a worker contract, because when we look at your contract, okay, you work for a platform that tell you how much you're going to earn. They said if they want to disconnect you or not, they control you. So all the judge say what all the judge has said, we want to put it in the law, in the European law, in a directive, because now there is many directives, there is many law, European law about workers, but the problem is that the platforms are going to say, okay, it's very nice your directive about non-discrimination of temporary workers, or they will say it's very nice, but it's not my business, because they are not my workers, they are my partner.
That's the way they're trying to. That's the way they're trying to argue here. But let me clarify something. Are you saying that in recent past or right now, judges in certain countries are actually saying these people are employees and giving them rights, and you're now trying to clarify it, right? That's what I understood.
Yeah, exactly. In many courts in France a few months ago, it was a worker from Uber, drivers against Uber. In many countries in Europe, when the workers, they go to the courts and the judge said, okay, you must have been, we just look at the situation. We don't listen to what you would like to be, what the platform would like to you to be. We just look at the situation. You are employee. And so the platform, the Uber, for example, we had during the last month hundreds of drivers that made an affair they went to the court, and so the judge said, okay, Uber must have paid. You can only go to 3 years back. So they said, okay, you should, Uber must have paid during the last 3 years for your days off, for your when you work more than the legal time, for your break. So, okay, you have to make Uber, you have to make a check to him because there must have been what we call requalification in France.
So these judges have essentially, mostly, at least in France, been pro-worker, if I can use that term, right? They have stood behind the notion that workers should have these full rights, that they do work directly for Uber.
But I don't know if they are pro-workers. It's just that
they're looking at the facts. They're looking at the facts.
Exactly. It's a fact. And
their decisions have been much more pro-worker is a better way of saying it.
Yes, and exactly.
So the way I understand it, what you're then trying to do is take those decisions and put them into the law of the entire continent in the European Parliament. And so my first question is going to be, have you seen support for your proposal already from other people in the Parliament? They're saying, yes, let's do it. Or do you feel like you're fighting up a very steep hill, that there's too much opposition?
No, I think I think that what is very interesting. So my proposal is when you are in order to make that the platform workers are to give access to them to the labor law and the social protection in all the member states in the European Union. And you know what? So I present. Well, first of all, in the Parliament, in the European Parliament, there is several groups, and so there is in the debate there is several positions. There is it's a kind of inversion of the proof, presumption of workers. Well, in my position, to give that workers the same right as any workers, I feel that people from SND, so the socialists, people from the Green, of course, people from my group, which is left of the Green, and also even people from the right wings, they are agree. And you know
so if you had to guess, just to kind of make it in a macro sense, is your gut feeling, do you have a feeling that this is going to be something that the European Parliament will eventually pass?
You know what? I am at the same time. I am optimistic and also a bit careful, because I am optimistic, because I see that all the judges, they are in our side. They said the same thing as we say. We can find we built a big coalition in this position. Even I met the commissioner Nicolas Schmidt to the employment and social issue 3 weeks ago to present him my proposal, and he agrees with it. He agrees. A few people now are in favor of a third status, to create a third status who would institutionalize the situation. But why I'm telling you I'm careful is that I've seen what happened in California, and I've seen that the platforms are able to pay $200 million in order to cancel a law. And I know, and I met the lobby. You know, in the European Union, there is the lobbies are very powerful, and the platforms, they have money, a lot of money, and they are very powerful. And I met the platforms. I met lobby Uber and Deliveroo, and I know that they are not going to wait, and they are very, very afraid. When I met them, they told me they were very afraid that it happens in France, in Europe, what happened in California. And also, you know, they have someone who helps them. You know who it is? It's Macron, my president in France. Oh. The main obstacle, the main wall I have in my way, in this struggle, in this fight, it's not from the right wing, it's from Renew, but which is the centrist group, but not only Renew, the French one. Macron is like the comment on dit, the VRP, the representative of the platform, and that's the main obstacle. But I think we can win.
In the few minutes we have left, let's just touch on a few things. So in Europe, they can lobby, but do they have the same ability to spread around a lot of money to give contributions to politicians, or are they influencing government in a different way? If you can explain that in a short explanation.
I think this is different, because it's true that when we learned that it's possible in the US, in California, for the platform to make a referendum to cancel a law, it was amazing for us. We were very surprised. I think this could not happen now, but it's more vicious. For example, we know that in Spain, because in Spain they are now working on a law on this issue, and we know that they are going to make to create bogus unions of workers who are made by Uber, and they're going to say, oh no, look, and we doesn't want the status to change, and it's more they're going to meet you. It's more vicious, but they are strong, but maybe not with a mask, with more masks than in the US. Right?
So they're creating these bogus unions. We have those here too, employer-generated unions. It's a little more complicated. I don't want to get into the weeds on that, but there's no question, to your point, that these big companies like Uber are putting massive amounts of money to stop what you're trying to do in Europe, because obviously they don't want the standards set in Europe, which will then come back to the United States, because a lot of the fights we're going to have are state by state here, unless there becomes such a conflict that the federal government steps in or the Supreme Court makes a ruling about what the status is. Here's a important question for my audience. Let's say you win, or some version, because I know there's always amendments and people compromise, but you get something strong. Does every country have to abide by that? Do they have to pass it in their own countries, or can, let's say, France, because your president is opposed to it, they just say, we're not going to pay attention to this?
Okay, when you have a directive at the European level, you have each member state has 3 years to implement it at the national level. And so what in my proposal, I'm not going to say, for example, how many hours the drivers should drive. But what is said in my proposal is that in every member state where you have labor law, different labor law in every member state, you have different social protection. But since the directive is voted, in every member state, the platform workers, they have access in the labor law. They are into the labor law and into the social protection as any workers. And the member states, they have 3 years to implement it.
So each country then each country could then manipulate it a little bit and change some of the specifics as long as they abided by certain minimums. Is that fair to say?
They could, of course, because in the labor law you can have different level of protection.
Okay.
But what they could not do is saying, okay, we are not going to give to the workers the same right as any worker because they are not workers and we are not employers. With this directive, the responsibility of the platform as employer, as boss, as a company who employ people, will be recognized.
So the last question I'll ask you is sort of to look at the overall real effort around this and the urgency of this. It's important, obviously, to protect platform workers, but I think, tell me if this is your impetus and the way you're motivated. If you don't make those standards and don't set these standards for platform workers, for, I'll call them independent contractors, that's going to undermine everybody else's rights. It's just a question of time, right? That it'll go from what we consider digital platform workers who are growing in numbers, and it'll start to affect the rights of workers in every other industry, right?
Yes, exactly. You know, a few weeks ago, I was in a demonstration from workers from Monoprix, which is a supermarket in France. And you know what? During the pandemic, in Monoprix, they discovered that they could replace the workers into the supermarket by students who were officially self-employed and that were hired by a platform for students when you look at. And so I think this fight is not only to protect, we need to protect the platform worker because, and we've seen during the pandemic that they are essential workers, we've seen how it's an emergency to give them protection, but it's a matter for all the labor world, all the economy, because now this situation that is bogus self-employed, working without having the right of a worker, now it's only for platform workers, but tomorrow it can be, if we don't do anything, tomorrow it will be for teacher. It will be for nurse, for doctor, and that's why it's a. And also, if I can say something else, what is very, very dangerous, and I want to make the connection with, it's a different issue, but Amazon, is that kind of platform. At the beginning, they tell you, I'm only going to do the connection. But what they want is having the monopoly and destroy the one that they are supposed to connect with other one. When we see that Deliveroo, for example, the platform of delivering food, their main activity is collecting data, and with the data they have, they will know that instead of helping a restaurant, I'm going to make my own dark kitchen and restaurant. We know that Uber, they want to have a car without driver. We know that Amazon, there were complaint 2 weeks ago from the European Commission because we know that they are supposed to do the connection between shop and customer, but at the end they collect data and they destroy the customer. So I think that's another issue very important in stopping the platform to do whatever they want and just tell them there is law in Europe, in the US, and they have to respect it.
Well, thank you for taking this on and being a leader on this, and we will follow this, track this, and have you back on the show as you continue this campaign. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And sorry for my English is not.
You're terrific. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.